the younger generation is like, oh, I want to be an influencer on TikTok. Welcome to another edition of Teching Out. How you doing, Danielle?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a little bit since we recorded, and we have a lot to talk about today. So we're going to go over a pretty full schedule here. Tell me some of the things that we're going to be chatting about.
Well, we're going to check out a few things, but before that, we have taken a little break. We probably need to address that for a minute. There's been, I think big changes in both of our lives. Probably you more than me, but it's always good to take a break, come back refreshed, kicking off, February, hanging out after Valentine's Day. And so we're back. We're going to be recording new episodes every month. So make sure you check us out, listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. You'll see updates on YouTube. Obviously, we'll post some stuff on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Anything else, Mike? You want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I just continue to check us out. We're gonna constantly have a stream of different topics around technology. We're super excited about this. We're gonna even open it up to some more business technology too. So tell us what you want. Tell us what you want to see in technology. And you could always post in the comments, or you could contact us at techinout.com,
Yeah.
and we'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Or
So
love a good DM. Like, who doesn't love a good DM?
yeah,
I never get DM. Someone send me a DM. Just say,
there you go.
don't sell me anything. Just send me one.
Yeah, please do it without selling, because I really don't need any insurance or any kind of other, my car insurance is good, I don't need a manufacturer's warranty, none of those things.
Right, right. But we are going to check out some fun topics today. We're going to talk about some social media. We're going to talk about some AR, VR, Apple glasses, discuss some tariffs, and then our favorite topic, AI. And because there's been some good updates in the AI world, which there is always going to be. I feel like we've agreed that this will be our hot topic, and it's a love hate relationship. AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's changing so much in the industry, and I feel like there's always going to be some topic that we'll talk about around AI. So it'll be a continuous topic. But I think there's always things that are interesting. There's always things from a social perspective. There's always things from a tech perspective, from a job perspective, whatever it might be. There's so much that we could talk about in that area. And whether you love it or hate it, you know what? It's there. It's not going anywhere. So we got to figure it out and figure out how we can use it to our advantage, and how we can, take advantage of all the tools and things that are out there for it.
Right, right. So where should we start? Should we start on tariffs? Do you want to start at social media? What's our flavor for the morning?
Oh wow, this is we got a lot of choices here, but I mean, we could go in order here. We have you guys can't see the order, so for those that are
A
out in
wonderful
the
game.
yeah yeah,
Give give
there's a
us
bunch there's, there's a bunch of notes here that we have, and so it's in the order that we see it on our screen. That doesn't mean that you guys know the order, but we're telling you it. So yeah, we'll start out in social media, talk a little bit about some of the things that are top of mind for us. So Danielle, why don't you kick it off a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about current trends, right? There's been a lot of talk about TikTok going away, TikTok having a big influence, and the ownership with China. And to be honest, Mike, I never went on TikTok. I've always heard these like crazy stories that it might not be around. And a lot of people make money from that platform. So, how is it going to impact people if it goes away? Who should buy it? Like, I don't even think that's resolved yet. To me, I just stayed away from it. That doesn't mean, hey, it's just my opinion. But each his own. I think also, when we think about social media, there's roles and responsibilities in those platforms. There's a lot of data, there's a lot of information. And I think it's just all about like responsible social media information. I do. At the end of the day, and it's been great. Like this world of influencers was never around, right? When we were in college, and so I think a lot of greatness has come from. I think also there's a lot of scrutiny, especially on the kid side. I don't know. Just
Yeah, no, I think, there's a couple things to kind of unpack there. I mean, one of the things is obviously there's been this big thing about TikTok, but the other thing is kind of this responsible social media, strategy. There's all these algorithms out there that kind of put the content towards you. A lot of the allure of coming to something like Blue Sky was that you can pick your own algorithms. You don't have to, there's nobody pushing that content towards you. And so, and it's also, distributed, and it's not going away, no one person owns it, all those kinds of things. So what are people looking for, and why does it matter, and what's going on in that? So I think there's those kind of two separate but distinct things to kind of unpack. Starting out with TikTok, I mean, that's not my generation, just to be totally honest. So I
make
wouldn't
it.
even know.
I can't. I mean, but I'm not going to be dancing. I just think it's like just we kind of like missed that boat,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and then same with Snapchat for me. Like, Snapchat, all these people, all these young kids Snapchat. I feel like an old man. All these young kids Snapchat, and
You a picture. I don't think anyone wants me to snap them anything. Let's just be honest.
So I didn't even know. I look at the interface of that, and I'm confused. And I'm a tech guy. So for me, that's, maybe it's just a different mindset that can use that app, but that's a totally different thing. And same with TikTok. But I do know a lot of people use it. I know a lot of people make money on it. So for the younger generation, it's funny. All these, we always had dreams to be like, doctors or scientists, or the younger generation is like, oh, I want to be an influencer on TikTok. Like, it's changed so much, or I want to be on OnlyFans, or whatever it is.
I mean, I'm just so I don't know. I'm so scared about all that stuff. I guess we've like, I guess. I mean, I guess you could do it, right? Like, I guess if you have good feet or if you are good looking, obviously you could make money from and there's some serious money being made. I mean, you've seen that there's like what one girl that made more money than all the basketball players or football players. I don't know what they
Yeah,
compared her to, but like you're like, oh my God. Like
yeah,
you wonder who's buying all these properties and how much money is flowing in. I mean, just look at just look at those numbers, and
yeah.
good for them. Like, I think and we know we have a podcast. It takes time to make videos. It takes time to do all this stuff. Like you really have to dedicate yourself to making content and branding yourself. Like I give those kids, and I want to say kids, they're adults. I'm generally saying I give them a lot of credit. I do.
Yeah. And you need creativity. So, some of it's, looks pretty stupid, but people watch it and people like it. So obviously they're hitting on something that's creative. So it is a method of livelihood for some people. And obviously, if it's banned within the US, then that's one of the biggest markets. So it's going to be something that obviously affects a lot of people. I think that for me, you know, you would need a lot of proof to take down a platform that says, that's that heavily used. Like, I think the burden is on. I
Well,
think they should.
isn't it where the data centers are and the data centers and the data that's what's going into China and that's what they're worried about. But like
Because somebody is doing a TikTok video of pushing their friend off a chair or something like that. I mean, what are they worried about there? What's the real worry?
well, I think first of all they're knowing what we're looking at. I mean, there's a lot of information that they could get from those TikToks. I mean,
Let me
let's
tell you, if they want to target the people that's watching those videos, I'm not sure if I'm that concerned.
no, I think it's more about trends and what we see and what's happening here and what listen, you could take AI to gather information on all those videos, and I would imagine there's a lot to pull out of them. I mean, I don't know. Might be it's an interesting, it's where people live, where people post. I mean, there's data upon data.
But let's play devil's advocate there. I mean, okay, so Facebook and Google and all these things are worldwide. So we're getting that information from every other country. So what is the worry about, like, we probably have more of that information than anybody in the world.
It's a good, yeah, but we want to own it here.
We want to own it.
They're like,
Gotcha.
like, nope,
I
this to stay here. But who should buy it? Like,
Yeah.
do you want it in the hands of Elon? Do you want it in the hands of Trump? Like, who do you want? What do you guys think about that? Like, who do you want to own it? Do you think the ownership should stay here? Should it stay as it is? Obviously, if we move it, and how do you move all that data? That's a lot of data to be moved. Do you move all the data or do you just start over? Like, do you just say, okay, keep all that data? We're just going to put the new data centers here and build it out here. But where, I don't know. I mean, how many servers could be, is running that platform?
I
That's
run it right on my Raspberry Pi. That's it. It's just a little Raspberry Pi. It's got a little SSD, and it runs the whole thing. It's
why don't
great.
you just build the new TikTok and call it tic tac toe and call it a day?
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, maybe we need like a distributed one, something like Blue Sky, but for TikTok. Maybe we need something like
I
that.
don't use Blue Sky. Do you use it? I don't. I've never played with that platform.
So, it's funny. The first when Elon first bought, Twitter before it was X, everybody was worried about it, and so pretty much everyone in the tech industry, um, kind of it was by invite only at that point. And so, we all got on there, and if you knew somebody, you can get on. So I got on like, right away when as soon as it came out. And it was cool because you know what, in Twitter, it always felt like, you had all this toxic talk and things like that. And Blue Sky was like, hey, here's my likes, here's my dislikes, please join me. And everybody was like friendly and wanted to legitimately find a place where people can kind of meet and talk, and it was non-toxic, and the algorithms weren't there and all these other kinds of things, and it was a really nice place to be, and it did well for that time, and then it went down for a little bit. Not went down, but people weren't really interested in it for a little bit. And then as soon as I don't know, like last month or something, everybody was getting really pissed at Elon and things like that. So you saw this huge uptick on Blue Sky again. And they're doing a lot of things. They're actually doing video now. They're doing some other things that are coming up. And you know what? They could be a contender in the future if they keep it up. It's just a matter of
Investment dollars.
what's yeah. I mean, it's a matter of that, but it's also a matter of like, is this really going to catch on? Is it, there's threads obviously, but people don't want the alternative to be like this big mega corporation owned thing. They would rather it be someone like Blue Sky who has supposedly has good intentions. I mean, I've talked to some of the people there, and they have they're really nice people and great people. And if they're true about their intentions, which I believe they are, then you know what? It could be a good platform. People just have to believe in
All right. Well,
it.
heard it here, guys. Try to. Well, I don't know if you could just join Blue Sky, but
You
maybe.
can now. Nowadays, you
So
can.
now, so
Before,
now
yeah.
you could be. You don't have to be of the elite.
Yeah, it was same thing with Clubhouse. You remember Clubhouse back in the
Yes.
day during COVID? Everybody was joining because people were like wanted to talk to people during COVID, and Clubhouse was huge. I don't know anyone on. I don't even think Clubhouse exists anymore. Like Twitter Spaces took it over, and all these other,
That
things took it over. But it was a great platform when it lasted.
fun.
Yeah. Um, so kind of talking a little bit, moving away from that subject of social media. What about, what you had brought up to me? You said, "Hey, Mike, we looks like Apple is scrapping their glasses." So, I kind of dug into it a little bit. What did you tell me?
I don't remember what was my great assessment of this. I think it was more of the AI. It was more of their big glasses. Like
No, but they're not scrapping that. So
they're not.
they're scrapping. So they were scrapping what was going to be their AR glasses, but that wasn't even truly true. They were scrapping like certain iterations of it or something like that. I forget what they were saying, but they're going to focus on the value priced kind of
Right,
AR
I was
VR
gonna say
goggles
that.
instead of
Feel
yeah.
like they came to market pretty strong, and for something that was, like, all over your face and looked weird and wasn't cool, I didn't wanna wear those things. I didn't even go and actually test them out. I had 0 interest.
Yeah, I mean, I had them for about a year. I had them, and
Yeah,
I played around with them. I think the big problem they have is they didn't have the killer app. The killer app to them, I mean, the only thing I ever used it for, which was awesome, is that you could
don't say
watch this.
just kidding.
No, yeah, well, that's it now. But
I
the
think everybody was like, "This is the best thing for them."
yeah. Yeah, but it's got all these cameras. So do you really want them taping everything you have? I don't know. But the big thing was like watching big screen, like 3D movies
Yeah,
and interactive movies and things like that. I mean, it was crisp and clear and amazing. My dream was to always have it as like this. this environment where I can have my screens from my desk all over. I wouldn't need a monitor. But the problem is that it was very heavy on the face. So after wearing it for a while, it got to be really heavy and you kind of felt it. And what I'm showing, you can't see it if you're not watching the video, is that I'm touching my eyes right now, under my
Right,
eyes,
it was
because
it's a big
it's
piece over your face, and your
it
face is
is.
what you want. I love my listen, I go back to those Meta glasses. They did a great job. The lens changed when you walk outside. You still
Yep.
kind of like, they're upstairs actually. They look cool. They were clean. Like, how much do you like for me? I don't know. I feel like how much do I really need? Right? Like we're still in a society where we're not we're not in an alter society, and we're working through that society where everyone's walking around, and I just don't know if that would ever happen. I just think it's really far-fetched. I appreciate his tenacity and his development, and someone created that product. I think it was a miss on the product.
Well, I don't know if it's I think that they knew out of the gate that the product itself was gonna be probably not that heavily used. But I think what they're trying to do is just like the first generation iPhone, is create a platform that they can use in future products. The technologies they can't get cheap enough yet. So I think they're trying to just get the first, kind of
Yeah.
people in there.
Mike, let me ask you a question. I read something. Is it true that they think the iPhone is going to go away? Is that
Absolutely. I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt about that.
but
Becau because I think phones in general will go away. Once glasses with video, or
oh,
and some kind of, because you gotta think about it. I mean, we talk about how we're gonna talk about AI here. We're gonna be able to just look at things, and it's gonna be able to analyze and give us information back. So the way that we kind of respond to the world is gonna be way different. Right now, if you have an iPhone, you could use ChatGPT to kinda take a picture of something or take a video and then ask it a question, and then it will answer you. Well, that's going to be integrated into the glasses. And when you take phone calls and whatever, that's the next generation. iPhones, I mean, I give phones maybe a good 5 to 10 years more. And
interesting.
I think that glasses will probably be, or some kind of wearable. It doesn't necessarily have to be glasses.
The AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely something. I mean, look, I have this thing called Visor. I think I talked about before, coming a little bit, probably in the next few months. It's called visor.com.
I
It's
think
by
that's yeah.
by Immersed, and it's a smaller pair of glasses that is used specifically for work. And it was co-developed by Qualcomm and some of the other industry uh, people out there. But what's awesome about it is that it's lightweight. It's a smaller pair of glasses. It has, like, 4 or 5K per eye lenses, which is really high res, to the same degree as something like an Apple Vision Pro. And I could have all my screens in my virtual world and chat with, if you had a pair, we could do our podcasts, we could do everything in the virtual world, and we could have conversations, have meetings, we could whiteboard, we could do all these things that from home, that it's like we're in the office.
That's
And to
cool.
me, there's a lot of allure to that. And I think that's the future of work. So I think that, there are things out there, and everything's kind of converging right now with AI, with AR, VR, with different hardware. I feel like everybody's kind of trying. There's also a lot of AR, VR glasses that were introduced um, during the last tech conferences. So there was like these
Yeah,
holiday glasses, and this,
this is
other holiday was another one that just came out, which
yeah,
has like, yeah. So there's a bunch of these that have just came out,
from the con
and
Vegas, the big
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yep, yeah,
We need
and
to
so.
go next year and tech out all the products.
Oh
Really,
my God, we would
I
be
mean,
teching out all day. We would be just teching out on teching out, and that would be us. We should do it, actually. It'd be a lot of fun just to interview all these people, go to the products, see what's out there, and kind
really,
of,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Walk around
absolutely.
with yeah.
Yep,
We'll make that's a to-do list.
that's what. There you go. So teching out.
We'll tech it out. Right. We just gave ourselves a to-do list on this
Yeah, yeah.
podcast.
So yeah, no, I mean, I think so much is coming together right now. The fact that Apple's scrapping those is just a little bit. I feel like they're building it up. They'll kind of go back and forth. The industry's going back and forth trying to figure out where it is, and we'll get there. I mean, I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see some major transformations.
Cool. More to come on that, guys. I think that would lead us into the next conversation, which is tariffs. Um,
Tariffs. What are these tariffs? Why do we have these tariffs?
Yeah, isn't it I'm like, I was gonna make a joke on the word tariff. I'm like, it sounds like my girlfriend Tara and, you know, uh, it's pains it's a pain right now for a lot of customers, a lot of clients, a lot of companies, import, export, tariffs coming into different countries. I think everyone's kind of navigating this landscape right now. I think also it's a little scary because I don't know if anyone wrote inside of contracts, if there was a tariff, would we be able to charge more, or people would be able to charge more money for goods and services? And to Michael, you had said, well, someone could just say that they get these products from these countries and charge an extra 25%. So I think that we are in some uncharted territory. It's a little scary. I don't know his strategy. I don't really understand the strategy. Is the
I don't think
strategy
anyone does, by the way.
I mean, the only thing I could really think of, like, just sitting here and we're talking about it, is, it's the fact of, um, does he want to just put more sourcing and push us more to be sourcing in the US, right? It
Absolutely. I
is
mean,
right.
it has to be what it is. But I have to think at this point, what would Art Vandelay do? Do you remember Art Vandelay
I
from
don't, but
Seinfeld?
I know, when you source from China, it's just so inexpensive. Like, I'm sorry, but like we all kind of just buy goods, right? Let's just talk about goods
Yeah.
from China. I mean, you're talking pennies on the dollar. Like, why shouldn't we pay less for something? We pay so much for so much stuff. Why not get a good deal here and there? I mean, we're all entitled to it. I don't know.
What would this do to Timu? Would Timu be out of business? I don't know.
I source all the time for my kids and I do it all the time. Like, if Valentine's this day is coming up, I know I need 30 days for them to ship it. Like, that I mean, we spend a mountain of money on all these holidays. Like, there's just so much being spent on so many different things. Like, why shouldn't we get goods for a little bit less if they're making it for less? Like, why is it so much more expensive to make it in the US? I don't know. We can pick this 17 different ways, but
Yeah, I mean, when you
yeah.
think about, look, Trump is a business guy, and he got famous, and he did what he did because of the fact that he is kind of ruthless in business, and he likes to set the ground rules and then work and then be pretty tough on his suppliers, and he's kind of acting the same way he would in other businesses he had, but I forget what they were. I was reading an article the other day about like supply and demand and all this other kind of stuff. And supposedly, you know, there's a phrase for that in business, the type of business that he's doing. And I should have pulled it up, but I forgot. And it works when there is no other options than the U.S. to kind of to go to. But if there are other options, then the type of strategy that he's using doesn't necessarily work because they can get it from other countries. They can get supplies, they can sell to other countries. So if it was just like a two-party system, then that would work fine. But since it's not, then his methods might not be as effective.
Right, it's on metals, it's on a
Yeah.
lot of different things. It's not
Yep.
yeah, so, and as you guys know, I work at Cisco. Some of our products, like, while we've pivoted a lot, right? And we've talked about this. We have pivoted supply chain since COVID, and a lot has been done, but that's just one company. There's a lot of companies that have not pivoted, didn't do, certain, I guess, pieces of that puzzle in place as you're a business owner. And there's just a lot to think about. There's a lot to work through, and I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't see yet, and we haven't seen the positive of it yet. I mean, it's a little
Yeah,
scary.
I mean, I think that he's threatened tariffs for a lot of countries, especially Canada and places that we've traditionally been friends with. But he's also taken them away. So I'm not sure what goes on behind the scenes there. Like, why do they have them and then take
Yeah,
them
right.
away? And then,
Maybe, yeah,
yeah, is it
maybe
just
because
strategy?
yeah. Listen, he's got a lot. Listen, as the president, obviously you can do a lot. There's a lot of ways to um, push your agenda. I would say, and that's just me talking high
Yeah.
level. Um, I guess, I like business minded people. So I think we can learn from this too. So we'll see what happens
Well, we'll
there.
see. I mean, there's always you could learn from either way. So either it's going to work really well or it's going to fail miserably. I don't think there's any in between. So I think that there's
Right.
going to be. We'll see what happens, but it'll be a good research study. Hopefully, we don't kill the country as we're doing it, but we'll see.
I know. All right. Well, we're going to let our last topic is our wonderful friend, AI.
AI,
I feel like we need a little bird
AI.
flies along and goes, AI, AI.
Yep,
Here
yep.
we again. Here we are.
You can't get away from it.
Got an idea. We had a big update, right? A huge update happened in the market. And, we had a company come out of the gates, simple, less expensive, and it's supposedly easy to use. I think everyone put out,
Well,
um,
not even less expensive, free. So that's the difference.
yeah,
So we're talking about DeepSeek.
yep.
Anybody hear this? But the market was kind of up and down. Nvidia went down tremendously after this because you didn't need all the GPUs and processing power because of this. But DeepSeek is basically an open source model that was created overseas, and it worked really really well. It's something that didn't require as much GPUs and things like that. So and the reason why this even occurred is because we weren't exporting our technology to China and things like that. So they needed a way to they needed to be scrappier, and they needed to think of how do we run these models more
How did,
efficiently.
how did they run the models more efficiently?
Yeah, so there's this whole thing about distillation, which is like it's supposedly OpenAI is up in arms because they feel like they've distilled the GPT-4 model, which means that they've kind of learned it's a student that learns about the model and makes it more efficient. And so, it learns everything it needs to know, but it runs it way more efficiently. So they call that distillation. And so basically that's what they believe they did.
When you run AI models, right? And if I use any AI model, does it learn me or does it learn all of the data? Like, does it learn how I want to respond eventually? Like, is it my own AI or
It depends. So typically,
cool?
yeah, so there's so many different ways to use AI models. First of all, you could train an AI model on your data, which then it becomes your own model. So you're training it,
Yeah.
it's learning about you all the time. It learns how to respond, it learns how to interact.
How do I do
But
that? I
you
want
would have to so there's a couple different ways. You could actually download a model that's kind of open source, and then you could train and kind of refine it in your own way, or you can create your own model where it doesn't start from anything else. Obviously, that takes a lot more data sets and things like that. Um, but there's actually intermediate ways, and because the models are typically generic models, meaning
yeah.
that they've learned on the internet, they've
Yep.
learned on data sets that are out there on public data sets. But you could also do something, a lot of people and a lot of companies will use the generic models, and they will add what's called RAG pipeline. So that's retrieval augmented generation is what that stands for. And what it does is it says, hey, I understand how this model works, but we might have newer data. And that newer data is here. Here's where this newer data is. I want you to use that same model, but retrieve the latest data about it. So that way you always have like the latest data sources. And by the way, those data sources could be somewhere on-prem, it could be in the cloud, it could be scraping websites, it could be whatever. You put it in a vector database, which is vector databases are a whole other thing we could talk about.
I'm
But
not
they put it in a vector database, and you kind of retrieve that information, and then you can use the later information because models are typically only trained up to a certain point. So there's a cutoff date for a model, and whenever that model was trained up to is what that model is good for. So then the data that's newer, you don't get that data.
So what did you think of DeepSeek? Because I didn't test it. I know you did
Yeah,
test
yeah,
it. I mean, I
absolutely.
use other ones. Obviously, use ChatGPT all the time. It's super easy. Um,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
mean, my stuff is not, I mean, I'm not running models, I'm not running scripts, I'm not programming. I think my use case is just it's pretty
yeah. No, I mean, for most use cases, I think using something like Chat GPT or using, any Anthropic models or Claude or whatever it is, or whatever you like to use. Those are pretty easy and they work pretty well. Just find the one that's kind of you find gives you the best responses. Um, but in terms of DeepSeek, for me, the reason why it's kind of a game changer is that um, you have all these engines that you could run these local models. I use Olama, which was written by a couple friends of mine. It's very popular. Olama is this like it downloads models from the Olama website. You don't have to do anything. You just say Olama pull, and it pulls the model down, and
So
then you
he
can
can
use
do
it.
Mike is super
Yeah,
texy, you're texy, super technical,
yeah.
so he can really deep dive into anything like this if you guys have questions.
Yeah, yeah. So I use that, and then you could download the DeepSeek model by using that. Just saying Olama pull DeepSeek, and then you could just run it from the command line, just as you would from like a browser. You could just put in your prompt, and you're ready to go. Or you could use APIs to connect it. But what's really important for I think the industry is one is its efficiency, because what that allows you to do is run it on smaller platform computers, and you could actually now do things with that, like maybe use it in cars or use it in whatever it is that you want to run it. You could run it locally, which normally a lot of these things take a lot of GPU power. And you need to have all those GPUs. I mean, I have in my desktop, not the one I'm on right now, but I have 192 gigs of memory, and I have two NVIDIA GTX 4090 cards. So I could run some stuff on it, but that's a pretty beefy computer. That's the only one I could run things on. If I have my regular MacBook, I mean, I have a good MacBook too with 64 gigs of RAM. But if I have my regular MacBook with like 16 gigs of RAM and no, not a
Mike is
great
pouring
GPU,
wine out of his
yeah,
closet, guys.
then
He
then
he's
then I could run that DeepSeek model still, which is nice because I can get some real data out of that, and run some things off of it. So if let's say just an example, I have something that in my podcast here where I use a tool that I wrote in Go that will use Whisper, which is an open source model from OpenAI, which actually transcribes audio. It's a free model, which is beautiful because I run that locally. And then the next step in that, I wrote something that uses OpenAI calls because I have to run that OpenAI because it was something that after that I want to create a YouTube description. So the Whisper model won't do that. So I call OpenAI, but it's one less call for me. But now technically I could take the OpenAI call away and put DeepSeek in there, and
Yeah,
then I can run it all locally and I wouldn't have to pay anything anymore. So it's great.
that is great. I mean, listen, it saves money, right? Because all these subscriptions are expensive and they're getting worse and worse. And I mean, let
So
me tell
that's
you,
the other thing when you bring that. So it's kind of forcing some of these. It's going to force in the future, as these models get better, the price is down, because if you have more open source models that can do similar things, then people aren't going to pay for the commercial models as much. The other thing that's going to do
I love the
is
savings, Mike. Like,
yeah,
tell me how to
that
save
that kind of turns you on, right? There's the cost.
money. I mean, we're talking about expensive tariffs,
Yep,
eggs, like the
yep.
whole thing. Let's save money on subscriptions. Heck yeah.
But the other thing it's going to do is force these companies to be more efficient in their models too. So they're going to learn from what's going on in this in from DeepSeek, and they're going to add those to their models, because you know what, they need to stay. They have the investors and advisors and things like that, and they're going to have to keep up with it. So in a good way, it's also making it more competitive.
Listen, we all want to be startups and entrepreneurs, but look what you have to deal with, huh? Pricing increase.
Especially in the world of AI. I mean, I think people were freaking out unnecessarily about DeepSeek and thinking it'll kill the industry. Got to realize AI is in its infancy right now. So we're at the very beginning. There's going to be a lot of companies leapfrogging other companies. One's going to catch up, another's going to where they are today is not where it's going to end up. I think that you're going to see a lot of that, and it's not going to end anytime soon. I'm not worried about DeepSeek killing the world. I think that OpenAI's got a pretty good start, and that they'll probably continue to, and they'll figure it out. And so will Google, so will Microsoft, so will all these other companies.
Definitely. Well, Mike, we checked it out. We talked about DeepSeek, Meta glasses, Elon Musk, tariffs, blue sky. What did I forget? Anything?
I think that visor, glasses, that's about it. But yeah, I mean, we're always checking it out, and we're keeping it real, which is a good thing. We'll
Yeah,
always talk about the technology. We'll always give you our opinion, and hopefully you'll keep on going with the journey with us.
Definitely. If you want to be on the show, hit us up. If you want to ask a question, send us a DM or go to our website, technout.com. Again, I'm Danielle and this is Mike. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.